Hey all, and thanks for tuning in for this paranormal pit stop. Tonight, we'll be exploring a notable graveyard on E Street Southeast in Washington, D.C., just off of the banks of the Anacostia River, that boasts the title of being the only American cemetery of national memory that was founded predating the Civil War. Officially recognized as the Washington Parish Burial Ground, this twisting yard accommodates over 65,000 interments, many of which belong to those who helped form the district and nation as a whole, in lives long since past, rumored to harbor a range of ghostly energies and paranormal activity. Are you prepared to brave the history and hauntings of the Congressional Cemetery? Historically, the Congressional Cemetery was initially established in 1807 under interested parties connected to the Christ Church, and in 1807, full ownership of the lot and establishment were acquired under Christ Church, who would title the expanse as the Washington Parish Burial Ground. By 1817, a range of plots were reserved for names of significance, with cenotaphs constructed for former legislators buried elsewhere, and beginning in 1823, Congress would issue the expansion, refurb, and enhancement of cemetery grounds, though it would never officiate itself as a federal institution. Over the years, appropriations would fully fund the laying of a gravel road from the Capitol directly to the cemetery, as well as its fencing, a public vault, gatehouse, and a number of high-profile funerals or ceremonies surrounding various cenotaphs. Through the 1840s, the yard, in line with many other cemeteries of the era, would join in the rural cemetery movement and would welcome extensive landscaping in a new park-like atmosphere. Between 1849 and 1869, the graveyard was expanded to 35.75 acres, and from 1876 and onward, the yard was utilized less and less by Congress, and would instead become a final resting place to notable local residents, many with years of government service under their belts, including the likes of Marine Corps Band Director John Philip Sousa, and even former and first director of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover. Through the 1970s, sadly, the old cemetery would begin a slow decline under the pressures of a waning Christ Church parish, decreased funding, and other hardships, resulting in many of its structures and gravesites falling into disrepair. And when staffing was ceased and financials were at their lowest, its bounds would fall prey to vandals, drug dealers, prostitution rings, and more. While Congressional remains in the hands of Christ Church from 1976 and onward, all of its activities have been closely handled under the Association for the Preservation of Historic Congressional Cemetery. And in 1997, a group of dog-owning locals recognized as the Canine Corps would join with local efforts and would help to chase away those with ill intentions. More recently, the APHCC has expanded to include thousands of volunteers who work effortlessly each year, resetting markers, trimming trees, and landscaping the aged plots, all the while collecting research information and writing quarterly newsletters. Congressional Cemetery remains open into the present, with various fundraisers for its preservation and betterment always available for those looking to make a difference to a truly historical site, and the APHCC offers a range of annual events, including free guided tours of its grounds on Saturdays, Christmas caroling, Easter service at the Christ Church, book signings, both Pride and Dead Man's Runs 5Ks, a dog festival, a Ghosts and Goblets gala, and more. Chillingly, from early into its existence, Congressional has been shrouded in a number of local legends and claims of encounters with the supernatural that many speculate quite classically are related to those buried on site, and both staff and visitors to the expanse have reported extreme cold spots felt in the heat of summer, orbs and strange silhouettes that are commonly captured in photography, and encounters with both shadowy manifestations and with full-bodied apparitions in attire from long ago. The remains of legendary Civil War photographer Matthew Brady, who is recognized as having captured some of the most accurate images of hellish battlescapes, rest now at Congressional. Tragically, following the war, Brady figured risking standing feet from violent death would result in his unrivaled pictures being purchased outright by the government. However, when they declined to do so, he was instead left broke and would die with very little to his name. Now, legend tells his restless spirit wanders amongst the graves of the very men who rejected him, forever seeking his rightful compensation for a job we can all agree couldn't have been done better. Several informal investigations of Congressional have yielded high EMF levels and chilling EVPs, while others have told of bizarre gusts of wind or of heavy fogs that descend upon the area alone, and that have even been known to scatter contractors' papers and blueprints, which many feel are the spirits expressing their distaste space toward future changes to the original layout. Another significant marker on site is that of the aforementioned John Philip Sousa, whose merits include composition of the Washington Post March, of Stars and Stripes Forever, and the invention of the sousaphone. Eerily, those who have neared John's grave, especially after dark, have described hearing the dreamy sounds of an old sousaphone, seemingly emanating from deep within the earth. Lastly, in 1824, Choctaw chief Pushmataha, who's widely considered amongst the greatest of all chiefs to serve the brave and noble tribe, would journey to DC to argue against further concession of his tribal lands. On this trip, sadly, he would fall ill and would pass on, after which he was given a full military honors and burial service at Congressional. Despite his eloquent and well-placed arguments and the heart that he dedicated to his people, eventually the Choctaw were all removed from their rightful lands, and it's told the spirit of the wise old chief might still remain, seeking a just resolution to a problem that has yet to feel the embrace of moral value. Thanks for joining us on this Paranormal Pit Stop. If you enjoyed hearing our histories and ghost stories, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with all of your friends. We'll catch you next time.